Shall we get started? I think we should. So welcome again, Thursday night. I think this is the fourth time we've talked about using the Enneagram as a tool and in times of stress. And I really hope that it's been helpful for you. So Joanna Bolt, she loves hearing from Barb. You are going to hear from Barb, which is great. So yeah, so as we were talking, Barbara and I, one of the things that I've noticed a lot with, teaching the Enneagram to a lot of people, they tend to focus on the negative things the Enneagram tells them about themselves. And I understand that because they want to minimize the impact that they're having on other people that's negative. But tonight we wanted to talk about what are the positive things the Enneagram tells us about ourselves, and what should we be paying attention to that's positive in who we are. And so in some ways what I want to talk about tonight is, in a time of stress, what is it that we bring to the party? How can we contribute in a positive way and a meaningful way? What's the gift of who we are in a time like this? So yeah, another thing I would comment on that, I do a lot of coach training in training people to be coaches or to receive coaching. And I found a lot of times that, again, I don't know if it's just human nature, but when people go for coaching, they tend to, again, focus on things that need to be corrected instead of really celebrating things that they actually are achieving or moving towards. And I'm just hoping that as we get involved tonight and just thinking about the way that we're wired, I'm just hoping that it would be an encouragement for you to participate with who you are. So I'm going to go through all of the Enneagram types and what they bring to the party, or what they bring in any time really, but particularly in a time of stress or a time where people really do need input from other people. In what way could you be one of those people that contribute to others? Now, the benefit of this, though, is as you do that, you're also, feeling better about yourself, and it's giving you a sort of a more of a positive outlook. And so, yeah, that's another way we can use the Enneagram tool in a time of stress. So great to have you all watching, and welcome. So here we go. I'm going to get Barbara to come over here because she is pretty activated. If you can see my kitchen table right now, she's pretty activated, I think, using who she is in a time like this. And so, Barbara, what do you find giving you life in a time of stress? Like in these times, now Barbara's a 9, which is a peacemaker on the Enneagram. And so she is activated. And what sort of brings you life as you're doing it for others?
One of the things that I've noticed that I find myself doing a lot of is really listening to people, and having and some of you that are listening, just so many conversations, just hearing what is going on with people, thinking about where they're at, and not to give, I don't feel like I have a big answer for anybody or a lot of even help that can be given, because we're all just going through this, but just that place of listening seems to be where I'm finding joy in this time. And also I find just when I think about, I spend quite a bit of time through my day thinking about the different families and what might they be experiencing and that sort of thing. And so trying to think of things that would be helpful to them, either in something that they can focus on, or just trying to enter their world and trying to put myself in the shoes of those moms that are home with those kids. So that's kind of what I've been doing. And I want to go back to what Ross said about I really have noticed that when we do, and recently a book club of us ladies, some of you there watching, did an Enneagram book. And we did major a lot on our weaknesses and what we weren't good at, and that was how we identified ourselves often, which is part of it because we want to grow. But I do think that it's really important in this time to be thinking about what are the things that I do well and are my good contributions at this time. So I think it's really, and maybe some of you, I know some of you may not have identified yourselves yet, what exactly you are, but maybe some of the things, if you could look at what is it that's giving you life, what are the things that are really meaningful and helpful and healthy for you to do that are contributing to others. So.
And yeah, notice a couple of things that Barbara said when she's talking about what gives her life. Mm-hmm. One of them said, this is the way I interpret it, Barbara's a really good non-judgmental listener. She can listen to people, and that's because as a 9 on the Enneagram, as a peacemaker, she literally said it, put herself in other people's shoes. So unlike some of us, when we're listening, all we're going to do is talk about ourselves as soon as we get an opportunity, but a 9 is really good at listening and making people feel included. And then for Barbara, that manifests in not only do people feel heard, but she's the sort of person that can take a lot in and not be weighed down by it, but instead either turn it to prayer or just think about that and think, oh, what can I do to alleviate that? So that's a real earmark, I think, of a 9 and a real contribution that they're really good at listening.
And I know we have some 9s that are listening.
Yeah, so that's great. That's wonderful. So I'm going to go with me now, a 7. I'm an enthusiast. So what do I bring to the party, apart from, the drinks and the food? But what do I bring to the party in a time of that stress? And I think one of the things that enthusiasts have is an ability to be creative. And the type of creativity that comes out is we have the ability to reframe questions and particularly help people get over hurdles and ask them questions that might open them up or even make plenty of alternative suggestions in a creative sort of way, sort of think outside of the box. And so really during this COVID-19 thing, I've been looking at, for me personally, what opportunities does this new environment create for us as, say, a church community? How can we be connecting even more now than we used to be connecting? What opportunities does it give me as far as working from home? What am I able to do and spend more time in? And I don't know, I've just found that, instead of going, oh man, I can't do this, I can't do that, what can I do? That's sort of what a 7's like. And so I just want to offer myself, if you want to text me and say, hey, I'd really like your input on this, what other ideas can you think about? I'd love to be involved in that. And that's the sort of thing that I can bring to the party in a time of stress as a 7 on the Enneagram. So you're welcome to make comments as you go around, but I am going to go through all the Enneagram types. So I've already talked about the 9, the peacemaker, and the 7, the enthusiast. That's Barbara and I. Now I'm going to talk about an 8, which is a challenger, someone that's a challenger. So what do they bring? Well, the thing about a challenger, a type 8, is they have tremendous strength and tremendous courage. They're not weak people, but what they can do in a time of difficulty is they can really, a challenger can really become aware of who the weak and vulnerable are, and they can use their strength and courage to move towards and to elevate and even to be generous towards people that are in a weak or vulnerable position. And I think it's healthy for an 8 to do that. So the words that I put together for an 8 is when they see people that are struggling, they can bring a sort of practical creativity. They can give people not a hand out, but a hand up, and they can really, and if that person makes an effort, they will champion them. They really like to cheer for the underdog and really work with them with that way. So their strength and courage as an 8 can really be used to elevate people that have been brought down low and have really been struggling. So if you're an 8 there as a challenger, I really would encourage you to think about how can I connect with people that I know are struggling right now and bring them up. So that would be really good. So now let's look at a 1. I know I'm going all over the place, but I'm mosaic in my thinking, not linear. That's part of being a 7. Monkey brain, I told you about that. So we're going to look at a 1, which is a reformer. So what's their strength? What do they bring in a time of stress? Well, their strength is decluttering and reorganizing and thinking through processes and getting things in order. And sort of, especially when a lot of people right now are feeling like they're living their life in chaos, or all their rhythms have been thrown off, or they're having to work out how to do new time management things. A 1 is a sort of person that really is a great resource to other people. And I just want to say though, if you're a 1, a reformer, don't feel like you have to rescue and fix everybody. But I would recommend as a 1, even in your own home and places like that, how could you use your strength to simplify or organize things in your household so they run more smoothly, develop new systems, whatever. But I would recommend as a 1 that you take a breather every now and then and make sure you're not just trying to fix every jolly thing that you can see, because you'll go nuts. So 1s need to take a bit of a break and say, okay, what's the main thing? What's the most important thing I can be doing right now? How can I help people with my ability to organize things? It might be organizing people to get groceries in their house, or how they can solve a problem like that. It can be all sorts of things. But 1s are very valuable for bringing, I guess, order into chaos. That would be the words that I would use. So again, I'm going to go to a 2 now. Now I'm going to go a little bit sequentially. So 2s are helpers. And, 2s have a wonderful ability to connect with or empathize with and listen to others in such a way that brings aid or comfort. And one of the things that I think 2s can really do, they're also like the 9, a good listener, but they can, they often get while they're listening, they get a lot of joy out of thinking about, oh, I could help do that, I could be a part of that. And they naturally look for ways that they themselves can personally help. They look at, well, what have I got that I can bring into this situation? And they're really willing and ready to resource people with ideas or practical help or even physical help. But one thing I'd say for them as well is that it is a little bit of a temptation for a 2 to so empathize that in the middle of the conversation, you all of a sudden realize you're talking more about yourself than you are listening to them. So that's one thing I'd say that doesn't help, but you are a good listener. So discipline yourself to listen or to notice them. And the other thing is, you have so many good ideas of how to help a person. The most effective thing that you can do is ask them, does this help you? If I were to do this, would this help you? So I think verifying which type of help, because you probably come up with more help than what they either want or need. And if you ask them, what of these things would be the most helpful thing I could do? And that is a wonderful gift that 2s bring, or helpers bring. Let's look at 3s now, the achievers. Now achievers, as you know, they are people that really go for the best and in themselves, but they also are people that can help develop people to be their best. And so if I know any 3s, and I do know a few 3s around, they really shine as they understand that they can be a really good mentor or coach or even a spiritual director for people at times like this. They're really good at investing in key relationships, not in every relationship, but if they really think about key relationships that they can invest in, and then they understand that they can help that person develop to be the very best that they can be. And achievers can really help people set goals or set action steps and achieve them. So they're a little bit like a 1, organizing things, but they're more like a cheerleader And they can also help people understand tools that will get people there. So 3s in a time of stress can really identify key relationships and offer to coach, mentor, or help bring in some spiritual direction and help people lean to the best side. So if you know a 3, you might want to call them and say, hey, I think I need your help, and that would be right in their wheelhouse. Take a pause for a minute. Are there any comments so far? Are you guys hearing me? Are you getting it? Am I going too fast? I'm just trying to add a few ideas here. No comments. You're looking forward to hearing about your type. We're getting there, hopefully, if we haven't heard it yet. Okay. I'm not seeing any comments right at the moment, but good. I'm seeing a few thumbs go up. That's lovely. So let's talk about the 4. The 4 is the individualist. And 4s are well known for the way that they think. And the way they think is deeply and really, they think deeply about things. They ponder things in their heart. They're not superficial. They go to a different level. And so when I thought about what a 4, if you've got a friend that it's a 4, or if you're a 4 yourself, you know, when you express the depths of what's going on in your inner life in a time like this, you can really help others by expressing those depths. And you might express it in an artistic sort of form. It could be in writing, it could be in journaling, it could be in poetry, it could be in art, it could be in storytelling. But as you express what you're really feeling in a time like this, I really think you can help others to really go to a deeper level and enter into a conversation that they need to have as well. And that can be a real gift in helping people. So I'm encouraging 4s sort of to get outside of their world and be brave enough to share some of that deeper stuff that you've really been pondering and thinking about. And if you're spiritual in nature, I think 4s could be excellent and become skillful in lamenting, writing the truth and really pouring it all out and then lifting it up to God at the end and sort of elevating it all up to God. And it's that raw honesty and it's that raw truth, but then you surrender it up to God. The trouble is sometimes 4s lock it down and keep it within themselves as if God doesn't exist. But I love that about God, is that you can express the depth of your heart and then give it to Him. And if you were able to show people how you've done that, that could be a tremendous gift at a time like this. I think lamenting is such a powerful and underused expression. Number 5 is the investigators. And now, their key words are insight and understanding. And 5s are people that really delight in seeking out and searching for truths and going for data and trying to find the facts. They can be very scientific. They collect that sort of information. And really, what they bring to the party in a time of stress can be wise. They help to empower wise decision making, because they can really verify things that really, there's a lot of rumors around at the moment, and there's a lot of people telling you this and that opinion, and 5s are naturally the sort that go, is that really true? Like, let me check into it. Is that number really real? Is that what's going on? And healthy 5s in a time can actually go away and they can say to their friend group, hey, let me look into that. Like, really, does that medicine really work right now? Is that just someone saying that, or is it true? So 5s are such a wonderful resource, I think, to communities and friends. And and they're really good for 5s to, a way that a 5 can really go, well, what's the best thing I can say or contribute based on the research and the data that I'm seeing? What would be the best thing that I could bring forward at this time? How could I bring that to the attention of people? And I just think that's a wonderful way of being wired, you know, that there are people that would bother to go into that. So I love that I'm getting some comments like, yeah, agreed that 4s need to share their art. We need them right now. So if you're a 4 out there, and some of you have got a touch of 4 in you, you know, as I'm going through all this, if you go, oh, I'm a little bit of this and a little bit of that, great, do both activities that I mentioned. You know, see what brings you life as you do it, you know. That would be wonderful. So there is one Enneagram type I haven't really spoken about yet, and that is the Loyalist, the 6. And there's a lot of 6s around, and I would call them stick with it encouragers. They often, they're not quitters, that's why they're loyalist, and often the message or the song or the mantra that they would bring in a time of stress is that we need to stick with it. I think we're living through a period now in the coronavirus where a lot of people are fed up. They're going, oh, how long do we have to be this way? Can't we get out of this sooner? And blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. And I really feel like if you're a 6 and you've got friends and things like that, you know, I think you need to exercise the fact that you've got, hey, let's stick with it a bit longer, you know. We've gone this far, it's really good, let's keep going, let's stick with it. And as a result of that, I think 6s have the potential of being really good and loyal friends. 6s have this uncanny ability to notice trouble on the horizon, not just for themselves, but for other people. And I think their stick with it message or words of encouragement. So I would encourage, if you're a 6 there, be very sensitive to noticing who you think might need a word of encouragement right now, because they're coming under the weather. You're also very good, and I don't tell every Enneagram type this, but 6s are very good at giving advice, and they're poor at taking their own advice. I wish they'd take their own advice too. But they're good at giving advice and adding wisdom to a situation. And you know how you develop that, 6s? It's because you've stuck to things longer than other people. You've hung in there long enough to learn some wisdom. And so you are actually people that are sought out for advice and give wisdom. One of the most wise things that a 6 can do, I've seen them do time and again, is they try and get everybody to stick to our common values. And they try and call people back to the center. Hey, this is what we are, or this is what we value. And 6s are really good at calling people to be loyal to the values they hold, especially in times of turbulence. And so I'm just saying to you that as 6s, you are greatly needed at this time. And, you know, as I've gone through all of the types right now, I don't know if you want me to go over everything just a little bit one more time or not, but one thing I know that we all have our parts to play. We're all wired in a certain way, and we need one another. And, you know, whether it's the 9 that's the peacemaker, the good listener, the 7 that's creative with their answers, the 8 that really uses their strength and courage to lift up the underdog, whether it's the 1 that is really good at that coming into a chaotic thing and organizing it again, or 2s that offer really, really good help in a timely manner, or 3s that help develop people and see, you know, raising people up as mentors or coaches or spiritual directors. 4 that can express the depth of human emotion in a way that really frees the rest of us to express ours. 5s that bring wisdom and insight based on facts and science and help people make decisions based on actual things. Or 6s, as I said, who are really loyal, you know, and say, stick with it. We're just a bit longer, we're going to get through this, and you will be rewarded for that. So I can't believe it, but I've yacked my head off for another 30 minutes this week. I hope that that's been helpful. And I hope we sort of start activating some of these relationships with one another and realizing, wow, this is my time to come to the party with what I have to bring. You know, we all have got to dance. Let's dance our dance, put on our feathers and our war paint and do it.
Why don't you see if there are any questions for next week?
Are there any questions, Barbara's asking?
Either about this or something else you're interested in about this topic.
Yeah, is this stuff helpful to you guys? Comments on that, but also comments about what you'd like me to talk about a little more. I did think about talking about the wings of the Enneagram. We haven't talked about that yet, and I thought that might be interesting. I wonder if you're finding this helpful, if you're getting some insight. Sort of one of the things I like to do when I talk about the whole group of numbers like I did tonight is that you can begin to pick and hear, hey, I'm more like that, or I'm more like that. I told you right at the beginning, this is more like a journey as we go. So be listening and identifying what it is you relate to. Yep, okay, Kate, we're going to talk about the wings. I thought I'd have you are the wings beneath my wing. No, you are the wind beneath my wings. We'll have that playing in the background next week. Maybe, if I remember. So, I think it's almost time to log off. Well, thank you for joining me. Feel free to share this with other people. I just want to be a guide. Really feel free to contact me and ask me questions. Text me, leave a message right here. And yeah, I do enjoy being able to help people this way and help people discover more about themselves and who really they've been made to be for such a time as this. Thank you for doing your bit, everybody. So, see you later. Goodbye.